This channel, a systematic teaching, enables you to awaken and end suffering and reincarnation. Please find the playlist in the description. Mahayana Pure Land welcomes you. Understanding Reincarnation to End Reincarnation. The Scientific Study on Reincarnation and More. Part 15. Studies of Life in Different Dimensions. Reincarnation research involving the study of life in different dimensions includes ghosts, deities, or angels. Science has developed methods to communicate with these beings. A well-known Italian expert in this area, Dr. Marcello Bacci, began quite early in 1949 to use radio equipment to study the lives of those beings in different dimensions. Through decades of research, he found that by using an electron tube of radio equipment, he was able to hear and perfectly record the messages of these spirits. In some instances, he recorded entire conversations between the researchers and beings in the spirit realm. Talking with spirits by radio, proof via sound. Bacci's researchers were generally people who specialized in psychiatry, supernatural science, and radio equipment. Sometimes, Bacci's laboratory would have up to 70 people in it. In addition to these experts, Bacci's experiments attracted people who wished to communicate with the dead. They were prime research subjects because they often had the best success in communicating with those spirits. The experiments were typically conducted from 7 to 9 p.m. because the spirits are most active at night. It is just like the Zhong thrice yearning ceremony, yearning Amitabha's Pure Land by repeating 3 times of this ritual, reciting Amitabha for a period of time after reading Amitabha Sutra. It is also held in the late afternoon through evening. It is to summon the spirits and help them to transcend by demonstrating a good example for them. Dr. Bacci usually set the radio equipment to 7 to 9 megahertz. In the beginning, some normal static noise would appear, but it would disappear after 10 to 20 minutes. The sound of a gust of wind would follow, as if the spirit had come. Dr. Bacci would immediately call out, "My friends, we are here! Where are you? Please speak!" Then he would hear a reply from the radio speaker, "I am coming." As if they were guests who had arrived, the voices would then start to speak. Each dialogue usually lasted 3 to 4 minutes. After the dialogue finished, the speaker would sound out a burst of singing, as if they sang a song and left. In one recording, a deceased child named Gregorio said, "Dear mother, don't be sad." He comforted her. "One day you will eventually know our mystery. When you leave the body, you will find out that your soul has entered a different level of life." Dr. Bacci conducted these experiments for decades, collecting an abundant amount of data. The most sensational experiment. Dr. Bacci's most successful experiment was conducted on the evening of December 5, 2004. Many well-known experts who study supernatural phenomena came from Britain, Italy, and Portugal. In this experiment, when they received the voice of spiritual beings, they removed the electron tube of the recording device so that any radio signals would be impossible to be picked up. Yet Dr. Bacci's device still emanated the dialogue of the spirits. This indicates that the sound from beings in different dimensions do not rely on our technology. Afterward, more than 30 senior professors published a joint report on this experiment. It created quite a stir and proved that there are indeed lives who exist in other dimensional spaces. But it raises the question, why are those beings who live in different dimensions able to come when we summon them? Summoning deceased spirits with our thoughts. Now that we have learned about Dharma, It should be easier to understand. The mind possesses a great power. It can attract these spirits to come over when we are thinking of and calling them. That's why in a religious ritual it is very important to first invite deceased souls to come, so they can dignify themselves in the solemn rite. Now think about it. Even an ordinary sentient being can be drawn over. What if we think of Amitabha? Will he come? As the chapter of Flawless Proficiency on Mindfulness of Buddha by Mahastamprapta Bodhisattva in Suringama Sutra states, Buddha's in 10 directions thinking of all beings is like a mother mindful of her children. When sentient beings are mindful of Buddha and recite his name, they will certainly see Buddha at the present time or in the future. This saying is extremely affirmative, so when we think of Amitabha, recite his name, and ask him to escort us, he will absolutely come. In addition to Dr. Bachi, many scholars also studied spiritual life, such as Dr. David Fontana of the UK, Dr. Ernst Zenkowski of Germany, and Dr. Felice Massi of Italy. Some may ask, since science has developed the use of radio equipment to hear beings in different dimensions, can we also take pictures of beings in different dimensions? This is, of course, more difficult than capturing their voices, but it is possible. A ghastly surprise in a graveyard, proof via image. In February of 2004, an Indian scholar visited an indigenous tribe on a forest reservation in order to understand better how they lived harmoniously with nature. The Indian scholar met a Japanese anthropology graduate student who also planned to visit this tribe to gather information for his thesis. They went together and stayed peacefully with the tribe for several days. The ancestors of this tribe live in a sacred graveyard where outsiders are not allowed to enter. But these two scholars did not know this. One day, while walking in the forest reservation, they accidentally entered the graveyard. It was dusk at that time. The Indian scholar took a photo of the Japanese student with a digital camera, but immediately the Japanese student suddenly fell to the ground, unconscious. The Indian scholar rushed to ask the tribal elders for help. The tribal elders must have encountered this many times before. They chanted a mantra and then gave the fallen student some herbal medicine. He recovered quickly. Later, back at his own university, the Indian scholar downloaded his photos from the trip to his computer. When the picture he took at dusk appeared on his device, he broke out in a cold sweat. This picture clearly showed a spirit standing behind the Japanese student. We can speculate that this spirit was the soul of the tribal ancestor. The student offended them, so one stood behind him and maybe also gave him a kick or hit and made him faint. 98% of the universe is invisible to our naked eyes. The digital camera, which can capture images that are unseen by our human eyes, has certain scientific adherences. According to science, the human eye can only detect 2% of the optical spectrum of visible light. Lights with longer wavelengths and lights with shorter wavelengths cannot be seen by the naked human eye. In other words, humans can see only 2% of the entire universe with their eyes. Since the photosensitivity of the camera is broader than the sensitivity of the human eye, the image of different dimensions can be captured on film, even if an object cannot be seen by human eyes. Especially with a digital camera, it can capture an even broader spectrum than film negatives can. It is used widely even in astronomical telescopes to photograph the rays of many other galaxies. So it is no surprise that the Indian scholar was able to capture the image of a spirit unseen by human eyes at dusk. Of course, there is still not a great deal of research to date in this area. We hope that science will further develop and confirm our theories in the future. The study in this area proves that reincarnation exists in different forms of life, including in the form of a ghost or spirit. The Buddha states that after death, we exist in an intermediate state up to 49 days before the soul reincarnates into one corresponding realm within 6 paths. In the next part, we will introduce to you an American historical figure, Edgar Cayce, who cured other people's diseases through supernatural power by observing the patient's past life karma. Thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support has empowered us greatly.
南无阿弥陀佛。